Hi guys, welcome to this episode of Know Your World with Nishi. Today we discuss the historical city of Turkistan in Kazakhstan. But before we do that, please remember that we have videos on Kazakhstan as a country, Almaty and Shymkent. Do check these videos out when you have some time. Here goes. Turkestan is a historical city and the capital of the Turkestan region in South Kazakhstan. Once an important region in the history of the Silk Route and Central Asia, the city is known for its historical citadels, old mosques and mausoleums, and is also a spiritual hub for pilgrimage. The mausoleum of Khwaja Ahmed Yasawi, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, is its most famed attraction and is a monument dating back to the Silk Route. Turkestan has had several names throughout its history, including Shafgar, Yassi, and Turan. Many cities in Central Asia were either trading centers or military garrisons. Turkestan was both, which is how it got its name of Shafgar. Yassi came from the name of the saint Khwaja Ahmed Yasawi. Turkestan was ruled by various dynasties such as Sogdians, Persians, Timurids, and Kokhans. During the 15th century, it became the capital of the Kazakh Khanate. It was renamed Turkestan, which means land of Turks. Turkestan is also considered the cultural and spiritual capital of the Turkic world. Turkestan not only attracts numerous pilgrims but is also visited by thousands of international tourists. Caravansarai, a world-class tourist complex and a theme park modelled on the Silk Route, is another highlight in its historic city centre. The majestic Karatau Mountains, Kara means black, Tau means mountains in Kazakh, so the Karatau Mountains lie a little away from the desert steppes and oasis towns of Turkestan. The landscape changes from sandy plains to a surreal terrain of rugged mountain peaks, towering cliffs and lush green countryside. Exploring further on these mountain roads leads to the abandoned Soviet-era mining towns of Aisai and Byzantsay. Many such hidden gems in Turkestan are tucked away in the Karatau Mountains and are far from the usual touristy trail. Before we dive deep into Turkestan, here are some useful information on the place for travelers, especially from India. Kazakhstan does not require visa for Indian travelers for stays up to 14 days. Turkestan now has its own international airport, but connectivity is limited so far. For now, the place is best accessed from Shymkent. Check out my video on Shymkent for access to this region. The best time to visit Turkestan is between end April and October, although June and July could be very hot. Also remember that South Kazakhstan is extremely dry all through the year. Remember to keep sipping water and applying lip balm during your stay. The ideal time to stay in Turkestan is about 2 days. Destinations that can be added on a trip to Turkestan are Shymkent, Almaty, and Tashkent in Uzbekistan. If you are accessing Turkestan from Shymkent like we did, the drive northwestwards, which is largely through steppes, is simply stunning. On the way, one can take a detour to the west to head to another of Kazakhstan's historical sites, Otar. Otar, also known as Kangju, Turaman, and Farab, was one of the largest cities on the ancient Silk Route and was also referred to as the Gate to Central Asia. Other than being an important trading center, Otar was famous for being the birthplace of many renowned scientists, philosophers, poets, and religious scholars, and thus was also a center for learning during the medieval era. Otar is located on the fertile plains of the Sir Darya River, which is just about 20 kilometers away. It was once a prosperous town with large population, had substantial gold deposits, and even had its own mint. The city was protected by a massive citadel that served as a fortress for 10 nearby oasis towns. Unfortunately, the city's wealth drew the attention of Genghis Khan, and Otar was destroyed during a Mongol invasion in 1219 AD. So, how long did it take to destroy this whole?
It takes 6 months. And the Otrar was a gate to the Central Asia.
Oh, Otar was the gate to Central Asia.
Yes, because when they fall down Otrar, after the Otrar, very easy, very quickly fall down many cities
In Central
like
Asia.
Bukhara, Samarkand, Khiva. That's
Oh.
all over the country,
Okay.
cities.
Okay, wonderful. So this was like the most important
Yes.
place, and once he occupied this, once he conquered this, then it was easy for him to go and occupy.
Yes.
Wow, lovely. History has it that at the time of the battle, Kair Khan was a ruler of Otrar. Genghis Khan sent spies to Otrar who were identified and executed. Infuriated, Genghis Khan then launched an epic battle that lasted for 6 months, at the end of which Kair Khan was brutally executed by pouring hot metal into his mouth. A couple of centuries later, Amir Timur rebuilt the city. However, Otar turned out to be unlucky for the emperor. While on an expedition to conquer China, Amir Timur fell to the extreme cold winds of the region and died in 1405. Guess what? On the way to Otar, there is a small railway station called Temur on the Turkistan-Siberian railways. The place got its name because Amir Timur died somewhere in this region. I'm standing right now at a small station, but a very famously named station. It's the Timur station. It's a small station on this railroad. This railroad is the famous Turkestan-Siberian Railroad. This connects many of the Central Asian countries by rail to Moscow. This railroad comes from countries like Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, and such other countries. And if you see on on one side, this railroad is actually coming from Almaty in Kazakhstan, right? And then it gets joined by tracks that come from Uzbekistan and Turkmenistan and other CIS countries or Central Asian countries. And this way it goes to Turkestan and then goes to West Kazakhstan, from where it goes to Moscow. Around the 19th century, the Sir Darya river changed its course and water became scarce in the Otar region. People started migrating elsewhere and the city was abandoned. Today, all that remains of Otar is an archaeological site of the ruins of the former citadel and a vast open-air museum. As you walk through this ancient city and explore its citadel, fortified walls, city gate, old mosques, bathhouses and irrigation systems, you almost relive its fascinating history. A short drive ahead brings one to the Aristan Bab Mausoleum, an important Islamic site located in the Turkestan region. But who was Aristan Bab? Aristan Bab was a mystic, believed to have lived for 400 years and was an associate of Prophet Muhammad. He was also the spiritual master of the famous Sufi saint Khwaja Ahmed Yasawi.
Totally 163 years he lived. And when his age was 63, he started to write a poem. And now it's translated to all of the language in the world, in English, in German.
The mausoleum, which dates back to the 14th century, was rebuilt under the patronage of Amir Timur and houses the tomb of Aristan Bab and his 3 disciples. There is also a small museum that displays the personal belongings of Aristan Bab, the original writings of Khwaja Ahmed Yasawi, and remains of Timurid architecture. The mausoleum is an important pilgrimage center that attracts followers from various Turkic countries. Leaving behind the ancient city of Otar, we head further to Turkistan. Like other cities of Kazakhstan, Turkistan too has modern buildings and wide avenues. Our home in the city is the magnificent Caravansarai resort. Caravansarai is the largest multifunctional tourist complex in Central Asia. It is designed in the style of the Silk Route era. It features a theme park with recreational centers, shopping malls, an amphitheatre, fountains and canals. The complex also has vast open spaces including beautiful gardens, boulevards and pedestrian areas. There are world-class amenities for family entertainment such as spas, cinemas, restaurants and luxury hotels catering to international tourists. Caravansarai also has its modern business district with offices, university, auditorium, grand mosque, well-planned streets and impressive architectural designs. The complex is located adjacent to the famous mausoleum of Khwaja Ahmed Yasawi. In the evening, there is a fascinating light and sound show where artists perform the epic Kazakh love story of Zebek and Toligin on moving boards. The flying theatre, housed within a giant golden egg structure, offers a virtual tour of Kazakhstan. Although there are battery-operated vehicles to take one around, I thought the best way to experience this magnificent place is to walk around the area. Turkistan is synonymous with the mausoleum of Khwaja Ahmed Yasawi. This is the grandest monument on the historical Silk Route in Kazakhstan and is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The mausoleum was built in 1389 AD in honor of Khwaja Ahmed Yasawi, an 11th century Sufi saint and the first Turkic poet revered all over Central Asia. The mausoleum was commissioned by Amir Temur after envisioning the saint in his dream just before a military conquest.
Around the Mausoleum Ahmed Yasawi, we have a lot of mausoleums. And because the Turkestan was 300 years capital of the Kazakhanate, during that period, 16th and 19th century, and earliest Middle Age, like 14th, 13th century, here lived that very famous peoples, and they are buried here.
The design is influenced by Persian architecture and resembles the turquoise dome monuments of Samarkand in Uzbekistan. The double-storied mausoleum also has several chambers which function as a mosque, madrasa, assembly hall, royal burial chamber, kitchen and guest rooms.
This huge mausoleum, it started in 1386 and takes 15 years. But the southern part where we see now, it's unfinished, unglazed, undecorated.
The basic structure is done,
Yes,
but it's not got decorated. Though the construction remained incomplete after the death of Timur in 1405 AD, it is still one of the most significant and best preserved monuments of the Timurid period today. Next to the mausoleum of Khwaja Ahmed Yasawi is Hilvet, an underground mosque that was his hermitage. When Ahmed Yasawi reached the age of 63, he no longer wanted to live longer than the years that Prophet Muhammad had spent in this world and retired to a spiritual retreat. He constructed this underground mosque where he spent the rest of his life. It also became a khanagah, where wandering Sufi dervishes met and prayed together. A visit to Turkestan is absolutely incomplete without the epic road trips to the region around it. A drive through the less explored Karatau Mountains is certainly going to leave you speechless. Literally meaning black mountains, Kara means black and Tau means mountains in Kazakh. Karatau forms the western part of the Tian Shan range. So we are in the midst of Karatau mountain system. That's the Karatau mountain system. Kara means black, Tau means mountain. The Karatau mountains are in fact older than the Tian Shan mountain system. We are halfway on our way to the Black Canyon system. An absolute stunning drive from Turkestan to this part. So this entire stretch like this as beautiful?
Yes, and
Wow.
on the way we are on the first steps
Ah,
on the beauties,
ah.
and after a few kilometers you can see more beautifuls.
Wow.
And when you drive on the way, and you can see it's impossible. You are not in the Kazakhstan. You are like in the foreign countries.
Wow, no, this is beautiful. I mean, I think, guys, I'm actually just stunned by the beauty of this place. It's one of the most beautiful drives I've ever come across. Check out the natural beauty of the rugged terrain, cliffs, and spectacular valleys with interesting rock formations. Its surreal landscape has a blackish hue due to the significant presence of lead, zinc, and phosphate minerals in its rocks. A drive through Karatau Mountains takes you to Aisai, a mining town established by the Soviets in 1964. Aisai served as a secret mining base where lead was extracted to produce bullets in the ammunition factories of Shymkent. Nearly 1/5 of all ammunition produced in the USSR was made from the lead of Aisai mines. So as you see, this is the entrance to a lead mine. Aisai, this village or town, is rich in lead deposits. So during the Soviet rule here, this was an active mine, and some of you may know that Kazakhstan and therefore the Shymkent area was one of the largest lead producing areas. So there were a lot of mines around here. The one we'll show you just now, right behind my cameraman Bornov, is the one that was established in 1964. So the lead deposit here was very rich, apparently 90% purity, and the lead from here used to be transported to the factories in Shymkent where it was produced. At its peak, thousands of people lived in the town. However, with the fall of USSR in 1991, the mines were closed and Aisai became a ghost town with dilapidated buildings and only a few remaining residents. But hey, not everything is lost. One of its surviving heritage structures is the Dvorets Kulturi, or Aisai's Palace of Culture. It was initially built as a community hall and recreational center for the miners and their families. During the Russian times, most of the prominent towns or villages had a cultural center where kids were encouraged to understand and adopt the Russian culture. In fact, the Aisai Palace of Culture was considered one of the most prestigious cultural centers in the entire Soviet Union and was awarded national honors for its artistic production. So during the Russian times, all kinds of events used to happen here, felicitations, art and dance performances, movies used to be screened here. In fact, over there you can see the projector room. So this was the projector room. This is how the projector lens used to beam to the to the theatre, to the screen. This is how people used to adjust. In those days, Bollywood movies were regularly screened here. Today, the Aisai Palace of Culture is one of the only few remaining Voris Kulturi in the post-Soviet era, as most others like the one in Shymkent have run down. Today, the palace boasts of an auditorium for film screening, a music school for children, an art hall, a library and various other amenities.
Azerbaijan, Belarus, Kazakhstan,
Georgia, Tajikistan. So we found all these flags here in this treasure trove of this cultural place at Aisai. The administrators will be happy to organize a cultural performance for you if given sufficient notice. My early impression of Turkestan was that it was largely an Islamic pilgrimage center, but the experiences at Caravansarai and the drives through the Karatau Mountains changed that completely. I'm sure you'll love the place too. I hope you like this video, but do remember that we have videos on Kazakhstan as a country, Almaty and Shymkent. Do check them out. Thanks for watching.
Unwinds live their stories